You're listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Camunio here, and we are back with episode 31 of the Money Monopolizers podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing good, bro. You know, just school's going as always. I'm just so ready for school to be over. I can't even tell you about it. I keep on getting asked by all of my peers, like, "Hey, bro, you gonna stay for that PhD?" Nah, bro, leave me alone about that. I'm counting the days, bro. That's all I can say. I'm counting them down. Like, it's close to the end. I'm just ready to keep on grinding away and finishing it up.
PhD.
Nah, bro.
Come on, bro. It's 4 more years.
50 years, bro. That's, god dang, I can't even imagine. Like, I be thinking about it. I'm like, there's no way I don't got no more left in me, honestly. After this is it. But other than that, businesses are going good. We're trying to get this next deal going, whether it's in Houston or in San Antonio, bro. It's like hard to find deals, honestly, but I'm ready. As soon as I get back there, I know I'm about to just take it and go take the reins fully and just like go all like balls deep into like real estate and hey, I'm pause on that then. But oh man, I'm just like I'm ready like just to do something different. I don't know, like as far as all the school and stuff, I'm so ready to be done. So I'm ready to take the next step in life.
Hey man, just hold in there. You got a couple months. Just pay your dues.
How you been, bro?
I'm good. Just hustling out here, hustling. Yeah, like you said, business is going good. Business is going great. Getting ready to hopefully close on a flip here in San Antonio next week. Hopefully, or I mean, not next week. Hopefully, we get our offer accepted this week, right. And we close on it within sometime in February. But that deal is going to be funded 100% with private money. So, you know, this is going to be one of the first deals where didn't have to use a dime of our own money. So, you know, shout out to the podcast, shout out to the internet for that. Shout out to, you know, anyone that's willing to lend money to us so we can do real estate deals. I appreciate y'all.
Crazy, the power of the internet. All you do is just say something and people just giving you money. It's crazy how that works.
Hey, I don't talk about it just for my own fun. I'm talking about it because it's real. It really works. That's why we did a whole episode of it, episode 29. But yeah, other than that, you know, I'm just out here hustling. Finally got some traction in my other business starting. Hopefully by the end of February, get that up and running by March. Still ain't gonna talk about that yet because I want to make sure it's all solidified before I comment on that. But yeah, that, you know, I'm right now. Really, my mindset is I'm on that McDonald's formula right now. I just need to. I'm trying to start as many businesses as I can while I ain't got time really. My time is already stretched, but as myself as far as I can, and then letting those businesses pay for more real estate. So, you know,
grinding in your 20s, bro. Grinding in your 20s.
Wait, that's solid.
That's the name of the game.
Wow. Shoot. Just do this for a few years. I'll be good. But yeah, let's get into this episode. You had kind of mentioned, we kind of talked about college. So it's fitting for, I guess we talk about that at the beginning of every episode because you're still in school. But today it's very fitting because we are going to be talking about is college right for everyone? That's the topic today. I mean, it's really, you know, the reason we're talking about this is because of what I'm seeing a lot from, you know, the existing student loan crisis that, you know, just hang above our heads in society. So that's kind of one of the reasons why this could be, or why we thought this could be a good topic to discuss today, because it's something that affects partly, I mean, we talking student loans in general. I don't know stats for how many people have student loans, but probably of our listeners, I would say a majority of them, definitely over 50% student loan, considering our demographic. So yeah, I think it's about time that we kind of touch on. I know we never really talk a lot about this topic, and I'll just be pretty transparent with y'all here. The reason we don't really talk too much about this is because we don't have student loans ourselves. So fortunately, I was able to graduate college without taking out any debt, and also just through scholarships and financial aid, and also shout out to my parents. I was just in a fortunate situation to where I didn't have to take out any student loans, and I was able to graduate. So I'm forever grateful for that, because I look around and I see that, and it's definitely it's a hindrance, definitely, and it's definitely like it's a weight that's gonna pull a lot of people down. That does pull a lot down, and I'm fortunate and I have to kind of deal with that. But that being said, Marlon, I know you didn't have to take any student loans, right?
Yeah, I was about to comment on that. Yeah, for me, I just pay so much respect to my dad, because I think about how much that he was like putting me out there back when I was like playing football. He would send my highlight film to at least 1,000 different coaches around the country to make sure that I got recruited the way that I should be. Like that I know I was putting in the work on the field, but I wasn't even concerned about like the next level. I was just focused on what I was doing at the time. And he was just putting me out there like, bro, because he had it in mind like, bro, what's he gonna do after high school? Like if he goes to college and he has to like take out student loans, he's gonna be paying that for X amount of years. So he's like, if we can get him a free scholarship, like a full ride scholarship, man, we can really set him up to have massive success later on. And like I said, I just pay a lot of respect to him for that, because that really has propelled me to where I am today, as far as being able to save up as much as I can, even while in school, because I don't have any student loans that I've taken out. But I just want to like definitely acknowledge how real it is for other people that like in this world, like our listeners and everything. Like
that's I think about that like all the time. Like, damn, bro, I'm just forever grateful for my parents, because they paid for a majority of my school, and they were just by saving, since we were 5 years old. So for me and my sister. So shout out to them. But yeah. Let's get into this episode more so what we want to talk about. So I think if the what we really want to talk about is, like I say, is college right for everyone, right? So that's what we're gonna kind of get into. But before we do talk about that, I do want to kind of put some emphasis on what the student loan crisis is looking like today, and the effects that it's having on society, and what the effects that it's going to continue to have, just by talking about some crazy facts I saw when I was doing research about student loans, and the crisis that is today. A few of the things that I saw was, one, the national total student loan debt is over $1.5 trillion, which is 8% of the United States GDP. So I mean, that's higher than the GDP of Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland combined. So you could imagine, just that kind of puts in perspective how significant that student loan crisis is. And the average in 2018, a lot of the stats that I saw were based off of 2018. But in 2018, the average debt per graduate was $29,800, while the average salary was $48,000. So you can kind of marinate on that a little. Tuition costs, huh?
Oh, and I was just thinking to myself that ROI is terrible.
Yeah,
you think about
tuition costs have more than doubled since the 1980s. So 213% increase at all, or on average a 213% increase across four-year public schools. In 1988, tuition was $3,000, and in 2020, or this for the 1920 school year, average tuition for a four-year public university is $10,000. That's just strictly tuition only, not including, room and board and books and all that other stuff. While their wages have only increased 67%. So you can see there's a large disparity between those kind of things. But you see that in a lot of kind of things like that. Another thing I saw is that this was just crazy. More than 3 million senior citizens still paying off their loans, right? Think about that, and it's like, well, what are they using to pay it off, right? They're using their retirement money to pay off their student loans, which is insane to think about, but that's actually happening. Another crazy thing I saw was that 101 people in the United States as of 2018 owed at least $1 million in student loans. I was like, bro, $1 million, $1 million in student loans, bro. Like, bro, what is? Oh my god! Like, I I saw that this one dude, his name was Mike Maru. He was an orthodontist. He went to school. I think he went to USC School of Dentistry. I think, and he owed $1,060,944, which was like, bruh, $1 million because he wanted to be an orthodontist, bro. I mean, yeah, he went to like the one of the top schools in the world for dentistry, but $1 million, bro. And it's crazy because they said over the next 2 decades that's expected to rise to $2 million. And his balance and his median salary is only 200 for an orthodontist. The median salary is barely 200K, $208,000. So like, bro, that's crazy to think about, because I mean, $2 million and you're only making 200K. I mean, good luck. That's a cooking, but that's just one of the crazy things. Another thing I saw, I'm gonna kind of run through these real quick. Black graduates are 5 times more likely to default than white graduates, right? So that defaulting meaning they don't make any payments for 9 months, and that's one of the things that's continuing to widen the racial wealth gap, right? Another thing, in 2018, 13% of Americans decided not to have kids due to student loan debt, and I mean that's a significant percent of the American population, 13%. So you can imagine that the student loan debt is delaying a lot of other life milestones, like buying a house and getting married. And then the last thing that I saw that was crazy, I saw that. Well, it was kind of just, it's not really crazy, but it was it was a study that I saw. They surveyed 1,000 graduates, right? And they asked them, what would you do to erase your student loan debt? And you always see this stuff on Twitter about the crazy stuff people would do to erase their student loan debt. But they said, so 49% of those 1,000 people said that they would walk to work for a month. 40% said that they would relive high school all over again. That's crazy to me. You would redo 4 years. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. 40% said they would work for a year with no time off. And 39% said that they would spend a week in jail. I was like, I mean, bro, a week in jail, that's not even nothing. You're going to have to increase that. They're going to have to increase that maybe to make that a month, and let's see how many people would do that. But a week in jail? You could do a week in jail to pay off, to raise 30K.
No, I'm thinking about those people who owe that dang million. Like, bro, what are they gonna do to get rid of that $1 million in debt? I'm thinking about how much debt did they have when they originally accrued the student loans, like when they first got out? Because how does it just compound its way to $1 million? That's like unsurmountable at that point. I just think about like people like Robert Smith, that how he paid all those college grad student loan debt. Like, you can just imagine like how, for one, the students felt, but more so the parents. Like they've seen firsthand how student loans can linger on for a lifetime. That's why you saw so many of them like just in tears, just bawling when he said that like where all your student loans will be forgiven and just covered. Like, yeah. Bro, that's life changing, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, those are just kind of some stats that I saw that I wanted to kind of talk about, just to like kind of make people aware of what the reality of the situation is, because the student loan crisis is only heightening as college costs continue to rise, which they will. We're going to see a lot of things shift in the economy due to that. We're going to see a lot less people buying homes. As people get older, millennials and Generation Z, as they get older, they're not going to be buying houses then, because that's not going to be on their mind now. People are going to be living at home with their parents now. All these kind of things are going to keep happening. Even, I think one thing to be on the lookout for is, because in 2008, one of the things that caused mortgage crisis the market crash, the Great Recession, as they call it, was the fact that, mortgage rates were defaulting at 11%. And what I'm seeing today, based on the things that I've been reading, they're saying that the default rate right now for student loans is also 11%, right? So, I mean, obviously, a mortgage versus a student loan, those, the average balance on that is probably a lot higher for a mortgage. But that is definitely something to be conscious of, because the same market and the same economics that apply for mortgages applies for students. So, but that's another topic for a different day. I do want to get into more so now why or what we think about, when we talk about is college right for everyone, right? Because one thing I do think is that there's a big problem with our school system and really within society, right? In terms of what we're telling young people to do, right? And what we're telling them is right and wrong as far as higher education. Because in society and in schools and high schools, I mean, we're telling every 18-year-old that they have to go to a 4-year university in order to be successful, right? 18 kids obviously don't really understand the significance of taking on that much debt. Like, they don't understand what they're doing to their financial future. I mean, you can ask a bunch of 30-year-olds right now what that debt has done to them and what how it has affected them, right? Obviously, an 18-year-old doesn't know nothing about that. So that's not something, I don't believe that's something we should be doing. And we're going to kind of talk about that, because I don't really believe that. I'll just say, from personally, I don't really believe that college is right for everyone. When I say college, I mean the traditional 4-year university kind of route that they talk about. And another thing too is that, they put pressure on kids to go to, like like I said, like, the stigma is that if you don't go to like a big school, that you're not smart, or all these other things about you, or if you don't go to like a prestigious school, I think is a better word, which is far from the truth. Because for me, I mean, I'm just looking at myself, right? Because I had the option to either go to UT, or I could have went. For those that don't know, in Texas, UT is University of Texas in Austin, which is that's like one of the top schools in the world, really. Or I could have went to like U of H in Houston, or I could have went to University of Texas in San Antonio. But the crazy thing about that is, I mean, I made my decision really based off of the financial implications, right? Because I know if I'd have went to UT, I might have to take out a couple loans, which I wasn't really messing with. So I knew that for me, I was like, all right, bet. Because you got to understand, bro, it doesn't really matter for most degrees, it doesn't really matter where you get your degree from. Like, it doesn't really, like, what matters is how you do when you actually get there, right? Because what is a Harvard degree if you had a 1.8 GPA, right? What does that mean? It's you might as well have went to the community college first, right? It don't mean nothing. And that's kind of how I think about it too. I mean, I went to UTSA, and I make more money than a lot of the people that in my same career that went to UT. Just because I know my worth, and I know how that I performed well at UTSA. So I know when I was graduating, I was like, look, I know what I'm worth. You're gonna pay me what I'm worth. That's one big stigma that I really just don't like. Because it don't matter what school you go to, really. If you do decide to go to school, it's about how you perform when you get there. So
I like that a lot, because I'm thinking 18-year-old Alex just being financially savvy. Like, nah, bro, I ain't going to UT. I'm just going to show my worth at UTSA. I got this, bro. I ain't got to take all them student loans out. But I just think about my situation. It's kind of similar. It's like, it doesn't matter where you're at. It's just about how you perform when you get there. For me, I was a 4.0 student, engineering physics at Stephen F. Austin. People always say, oh, is that in Austin? No, like that's how unknown the school is, though, yeah. Because Stephen F. Austin is just a small city, a small university in Nacogdoches, Texas. Nobody knows where that is even. So it's like, well, it's not a big name school, but you can make a big name for yourself based off of how you perform there, and that's what ended up getting me the internship opportunity led to a job opportunity, led to me being able to come to Purdue for free. Like, all that was covered just because of how I performed at wherever I went. Stephen F. Austin or wherever else. UTSA for you. It's not about, it's like I said before, it's not about what's it called? The name of the place that you go to is about how you perform when you get there.
Exactly.
But I think honestly, for a lot of other people, it's just about like looking at your career goals. It's probably like a good starting point because don't focus so much on what your parents or what your teachers are telling you as far as, oh, go to this big school, this big university with this big name to get all the different offers and job opportunities. Like despite the pressure, you need to make an informed Alex decision like he did. Like make sure that you think about the financial aspects of it, because when you accrue this type of debt, it's going to compound with time. Like this is one of those compound interest type debts that will just grow exponentially over time. If you are making minimum payments, good luck. You never gonna pay it off, honestly. Like we had our guest last time. I think Kendra talked about her student loans. Who was it? Was it Kendra or was it Crystal that talked about it?
First.
You said Crystal?
Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal had talked about how she paid off her student loans and how minimum payments was not finna work for her. And you can just take it from the horse's mouth. Like the minimum payments will keep you in debt for a good amount of time. But you have to look at also different options, that different routes that you can go in order to get your degree. If you choose to go get a degree, there's different options that you can pursue, such as looking at community college. It may be frowned upon by people who idolize big name schools, but community college is a very smart financial decision if you're choosing to pursue a degree. Like you can take all of your core basic classes in the beginning, and then you can finish off at a university instead of taking all 4 years at that university and paying a premium for the same knowledge that you can get at a community college. And then you also can think about it from the aspect of what's your dream job at the end of the day. Like, does it require more experience, or does it require you to have your academic credentials, like a bachelor's degree? Because that also can determine like which route you take it, whether it's college or whether it's some other form of education to get into your career. Because like sometimes college may not be the most financially smart thing to do in that case. And you can think of like people to a further extent, like if you're trying to be like a comedian, or if you're trying like to, I don't know, have it run your own business, like a lawn business or something, you definitely don't even have to worry about like going to get a formal education. Look at Steve Jobs, Steve Harvey, Ellen DeGeneres. They all dropped out of college. Doesn't mean that they're not smart, but it's just saying that, hey, I know what I want to do, and I know that college is not finna get me there. And that's you haven't just realized that for yourself. Like, do you really visualize yourself being more successful because you went to college? And if that you can't answer yes to that, then why are you spending your time and your money at a place where you're not going to get a good return on your investment?
Because think about it, even practically, right? How many professions that are needed every day in society actually require a college degree? Like there's a bunch of them actually don't, right? When you look at the plumbers, you look at electricians, you look at nurses, you look at pharmacy techs, you look at mechanics, specialized mechanics, you look at chefs. These are all skilled trade workers that will always be needed in society, right? There's not all of those professions are always going to be needed, right? No matter how far we come as a society, those will actually always, for the most part, probably be needed, right? So we had to. Those are valuable skills that people should be going to school to get. So I think a lot of 18-year-olds too should be encouraged to go to those kind of trade schools and vocational schools to get that kind of education. Because I mean, you think about those stigmas, it's like, bro, because there's a stigma about going to those trade schools that those people aren't smart too. But I mean, it's crazy because the stuff that those people, a lot of them are doing, and you gotta be pretty smart to be able to do some of those things, right? Like when you're looking at them, airplane engines, to be able to repair one of them, you got to be pretty smart to be able to do that. Or how to wire an entire house without killing yourself by electrocution, you got to be able to do that, right? So those are things that people should be getting encouraged to go do. When I looked at it, I saw that 72% of all skilled trade workers are actually age 45 or older. So that says that a lot of young people aren't being encouraged to go to those schools. And that's probably just as a subject or as a result of societal stigmas. So, I mean, the crazy thing about it is that a lot of these professions and trades actually make a lot more money, than the traditional jobs, right? Because according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median salary for an electrician is $55,000. Median salary for a plumber is $54,000. Median salary for a registered nurse is $69,000. Median salary for aircraft mechanic is $63,000. Median an entry level chef is $43,000, right? Those are all very valuable professions and trades that are needed in society that pay good amount of money, right? You don't have to go to school. You don't have, like, people want to, take the sexy route when in reality, that's the stuff that works. That's the tried and true stuff. You're definitely going to be able to get work doing that, right? And the best thing I think too about that is that you can easily start your own business, as doing a lot of these trade professions, right? You, in a sense, are the value in the job, right? So you can bring your value directly to customers, as opposed to if you graduate as an engineer, right? You can't just go say, "Hey, I can do engineering for you." No, you had to go work for a company and then go do engineering for the company that's going to do engineering for the other person, right? And you could start your own company, but good luck getting work in the beginning. So that's kind of how that is, right? And a lot of those professions are performance based too. As an electrician, as a plumber, those are performance based kind of pays, because the more you do, the more you're gonna get paid. Because when you look at a lot of these trade and vocational school prices, the price for the entire thing is only $33,000. And you compare that to a 4-year degree university or a 4-year university degree, which is probably 4 times that amount, right? So you're getting valuable education for the price of 1 year at a normal college. So a lot of people don't really take advantage of that, though, because there's just stigmas attached to it. So
I think a big takeaway from all that is just the fact that you can find other means to obtain your goals at the end of the day, because like trade school, it may not be the most sexy thing, like you said, but at the same time, probably get a much better return on your investment of your time and of your money, like as far as like the loans that you may have to take out and how much it's going to cost and all that. But I think on just like to another degree, if you want to look at different local or part or full-time jobs that don't like require a lot of experience, like that may require more experience than just a college degree, you may look into that as like an option. Like say if you're trying to be like a retail person or like a salesman, you may not need the exact formal degree in order to like indulge in that. Like you may just start off at like working at, I don't know, Walmart, working at just as a floor salesman or something. You start building up that experience, and over time, you now have experience to show for applying to bigger jobs rather than just having this academic degree in order to get into it. Or you can like go to YouTube University, as we always talk about. Like you can literally learn anything that you want to on YouTube in today's day. Like whether you want to be a handyman, whether you want to be a graphic designer, like I think all that information is just readily available for you. And it's actually some skills that are highly sought after from different companies. So they say rather than just finding somebody who has a degree in it, if you know how to do it, you know how to do it. And then, so you can sell yourself in that regard. And I think it's just important to know, like, don't get caught with a tremendous amount of debt, and that you later find out it's just like it wasn't even necessary because you went to this big 4-year university.
Yeah. So, I think another problem with it is that schools don't really teach students to look at a degree as an investment. They don't really teach them about the financial implications of a college degree, or what that entails of financing a college degree. I mean, I'm not surprised schools don't teach anything about finances, but, they don't even teach you really how you should be looking at a degree when it comes to the finance, right? Because in reality, it is an investment. Because what is an investment? An investment is, investing is when you are, the goal of investing or the goal of an investment is to get the highest return possible, and to have the most efficient use of your money, right? So that is what an investment is, right? When you look at the definition of it or the formula, it is benefit over cost, right? So the goal, I talked about this in an episode, and maybe it was episode 1, I think, or episode one of them early episodes, but the goal is to get the highest salary possible for the lowest amount of student loan debt. That's the goal, really, with an investment, right? In this case, right? And that's really how student loans can become, good or bad investments, or good and bad for a lot of people. Because, I mean, let's be real. At the end of the day, the bottom line is that if the starting salary isn't high enough, it's probably not worth pursuing that degree, right? And you can say like, oh, it's my passion or whatever. It's like, fine, that's fine. If it's your passion, whatever. If art is your passion, then that's fine. If history is your passion, and that's fine. But just know that you might have struggles when it comes to paying that off with that salary, because that's not an efficient investment when we're strictly looking at it in terms of the money. If you can't make enough money to pay the loan off, it's a bad investment. And a lot of people, I mean, frankly, they just go to school, incur $30,000 in student loans, and then with a $38,000 paying job. Well, I'm with you. That's not a good investment, because if you look at the return on that. What is the return on that? It's awful. It's not a good return at all. So if you got 30,000 in debt and then you got a $60,000 paying job, then that's a good return on your investment. But a lot of these majors, really looking at. I'm not trying to bash nobody's major, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm just, we talking money. That's what this podcast is about. A lot of these majors, liberal arts, and, history, and underwater bathing, all these majors, bro. They just not. They're not getting you the return that you need to be able to pay loans off in a good amount of time before they, you had $30,000 of debt become $60,000 a debt. It's been lingering for 10 years instead of getting paid off. So we gotta be able to teach kids to look at it like realistically look at it.
Yeah. I think for anybody who's a parent out there, it's so important to whether to teach your kids to look at this decision as a financial decision, because in reality it is, and that's what people have been like glossing over the years. It's like they just saying go to the university for the sake of having that for the name's sake more so than what's it going to produce for you afterwards. Because like Alex was talking about, like the debt that you get into versus the income that you're making after the fact is definitely makes a difference in how feasible it is to pay off those student loans. Because I saw a similar statistic that you did about like the debt versus the average debt versus the average salary that people were making. It was reported by Forbes that the average debt was like $37,000. I think this is like more recent, 2019, 2020, and the average salary was still below that $50,000 though. And that's before tax. So just imagine taking away 30% after taxes, or for taxes, and now you're looking at around, I don't know, 38, 40,000. Now you're really in trouble, because if you want to pay those student loans off in any reasonable amount of time, you're going to have to be sacrificing a whole lot. You're probably not going to be eating a few days. You're probably living in the shack. I don't know. You're going to do something crazy in order to be able to afford those student loans and be able to pay them off if you want to like get them off your plate altogether. And I think like you pointed something out that really like spoke to me earlier. You said watch what that starting salary is for your career, because that starting salary that you get will pretty much set your entire career salary for the rest of your career. Like because what your boss or what your employer is going to be doing from there forward is giving you a percentage increase and not just what they think you're worth. And that's I really hate that system so much, because somebody can start off with, I don't know, 70K as a starting salary, and somebody may start off with like 40 or 50K, and from then on that's going to stagnate them as far as what they can make. It's going to be like 3% increases over every year or something.
And real quick, just to add to that too, just because you mentioned it, a lot of a lot of people our age and a lot of people in our demographic are scared to negotiate their salary. Mm-hmm. Don't be scared to negotiate your salary, especially when you start a new job. You got to remember that you're the one that has the leverage, right? You have all the options, right? You have the whenever you're starting a job is whenever you're most desirable employer. You're not going to be any more desirable throughout your time with an employer than whenever you are starting with them. Remember that. So you have to use that as leverage, right? Get as many. For me personally, whenever I graduated in December 2017, I made sure to get as many offers as I can and I bid them all against each other. And I was like, yo, I need you to come up. This ain't, I got this. I got my boy over here. He offering me this. Yeah. Offering me this. I need you to come up a little bit. And they say yes, or they're gonna say no. Most likely they're gonna say yes, because it's not gonna be like a crazy. They're not talking 20,000 probably. It's like 10K, something like that. So use that as leverage. That's all it is. Y'all can't be afraid to negotiate with these people, because at the end of the day, look, it's not their money that is coming from. It's coming from the company's money. You're not asking the HR manager to give you her salary. Right. It's coming from the company. So shoot. Ask them for 50,000 more than what they offering you. You never know what's gonna happen. I mean, know your worth at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying. If you think you're worth this amount, make sure you get it. That's all it is.
Go on, preach to him real quick. But no, seriously though, that's know your worth. But that's one of Alex's hashtags that he always using. Like that's one of his signature go-to slogans or whatever. Like no, because I think he's a big proponent of that because he exemplifies that with what with like how he lives his life. Now, I know you went through all your negotiation phase when you first got into your the company you work for now. And that honestly inspired me a lot. I'm like, this dude just say, "Nah, you ain't giving me no less than this." Like, I promise you, I walk out in a second if you don't give me what I want.
That's all it is.
That's a good personality, I guess, in that case, because people would play you if you let them. And I think it's important to know that everything is negotiable. I think my dad always says that, and it truly is. Like nothing is really set in stone unless you just make it set in stone. Like if somebody gives you an offer, why do you have to accept it? Because nothing else. Because you don't have anything else, go find something else. I don't know, but it's just important to like don't sell yourself short because of what somebody else thinks that you're worth, though.
As time does continue to move on, college degrees will become less valuable. Like the degree itself, and you've already seen it. Like you see certain jobs, like. They say education required, master's degree, starting salary, $14.70 an hour. It's like, bro, you telling me my higher education graduate degree is only worth me getting $15 an hour, bro? I could go fry some burgers and rank up faster than that, bro. Come on. Like that, y'all just playing with my name like that, bro. Like, no, it's
better know your worth.
Over time, huh?
Better know your worth.
Hey man, over time, it will become less valuable because number one, because more and more people are going to college. So now that kind of dilutes the wow factor of it, if you want to call it that. It's becoming more and more desirable, which is gonna decrease its actual value. Just it's natural. That's just how things work. Supply and demand. Honestly, that's really all it is. But the thing about it is there's as times do continue to change and we do become more progressive. There's employers that kind of accept skills if you without a college degree. It's harder to see right now because I think we're kind of in that gray area where we're still kind of transitioning into that. Like a lot of skills that can be learned online are going to be a lot more prominent in the future, right? When you talk about coding, you talk about programming, web design, all these things that can be literally learned. You can learn how to code online. You can learn how to do those things online, and you can go get a job that pays high, that pays good, right? Or there's a bunch of jobs where you only need certain certifications to work these, coding jobs and those kind of things, right? Because honestly, as the cost of college continues to rise, and that's another thing. People are going to just decide not to go to school, and they'll choose to really learn how to do things on their own, learn skills online, and then transition into the careers that accept those skills without a formal education, right? Now, there's a caveat to that because if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, those kind of things, you need to go to school and get a degree. Obviously, I don't think that's ever going to change because I don't want to ever go to a doctor's office and like, yeah, I'm here for this procedure. And they're like, okay, yeah, let me just see what I need to do on Google. Let me just look it up real quick. No, I don't need my doctor looking up what my symptoms are on WebMD to diagnose me. For a lot of these, like I said, a lot of these other companies, you don't really need a college degree.
All right. I think to a separate degree that people are like, well, the reason that people are not pursuing that 4-year degree as often now is because of the time it takes in order to get that degree. Like people are today age, people are like really, really enjoy that instant gratification factor. Like people love just to have things come to them almost immediately. And now this may not be the case for like doctors and lawyers or engineers or whatever. Like you got to go ahead and get that 4-year degree or get that specialized education. But for the most part, people who are like looking to move like with the way that the world is moving right now, like with the Internet of Things, like with IT, like just with technology in general, fourth industrial revolution, like this is where people are like, where people are like going to be praised a lot more for their specialized skills, like with coding, like you mentioned, like with web designing. This is stuff that you can just get off the internet, like where you can just go research how to do it, and then you can have that specialized skill. I think this is like a way that people can bypass that going to a 4-year degree and accruing all these student loan debt, and basically not have to worry about getting that formal degree at the end of the day.
Even I've heard Elon Musk say before that he don't care about if you got a college or a high school degree. I mean, if you want a job at Tesla, all you need is the skills.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college.
Dropouts, yeah.
But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you heard him say it. Evidence of exceptional ability. That's all he wants. That's all he cares about, right? He doesn't necessarily care about a formal training because that doesn't necessarily tell you nothing. It doesn't. Well, for him, it doesn't tell you, how well you're gonna perform as an employee for Tesla. So that's. I think that's where we're kind of moving towards as a society. A lot of like these startup companies, these tech companies, these companies that are like Google and those kind of companies, they're moving towards that kind of standard of, hey, can you perform? Because obviously if you look at like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they didn't necessarily go to school, but you're not gonna give them a job if they came to you because they don't have a college degree? No, you still gonna give them a job. So that's just the reality of the situation. And even to a further extent too, if you want to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, you don't need a college degree or formal education, right? I mean, I just talking about like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. They have started of the biggest companies of all time. Both dropped out of school, right? I mean, yeah, a college degree is helpful. It's gonna help accelerate the path. If you do, like, let's say you do want to become a business owner, but you still want to get a college degree, it will help you, and it can help you accelerate the path, but it's not necessarily needed, right? Like for me, it's going to help me accelerate my path in terms of providing me the income and the surplus of or the injection of capital into my business. But that's really the number one way I'm leveraging it to help me. It's just from the income. That could be any job that provides an income. So but obviously, as we are talking about, most people aren't going to be entrepreneurs. So, those people actually do need the formal education or, some sort of formal education to get a certain career path. Unless you did take the, Tesla route and you just learn the skills. But because it's, entrepreneurship and, the way it's set up, it wouldn't work if everybody wanted to become entrepreneurs, right? You need people to work for those entrepreneurs. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs died, but he's, Apple. They have some of the most highly trained engineers working for them, and they didn't finish college. So that's why you always hear the phrase A students work for C students. So.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's ironic that the careers like business owners that make the most money in this country are the ones that don't need the degree in order to get it. But then I start thinking about how the American dream is, how the American dream is part of that system in order to get people to become those W-2 employees, because the government need their business partner, like we talked about on the tax episode. I think that was last episode. Yeah. Right? Like we can't teach everybody how to be an entrepreneur because then we ain't gonna have our business partner paying the most in taxes. But yeah. At the end of the day, unfortunately, that's just how it's gonna be. I don't know. So if your goals in life are to become a business owner or have anything specialized that doesn't require you getting that formal education, I think that's where you have to really take a step back and say, is college the right avenue for you to take?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because at the end of the day, let's just be real. College doesn't really teach you anything about life. Teaches you how to memorize. Well, we talk about like obviously like the formal part of college, right? Classes, all that stuff. It doesn't teach you nothing about life. College, like the experience, might teach you about life in a way, but the formal like the classes and stuff. No, that they teach you how to memorize equations, definitions, and all that kind of jargon. They don't really teach you, things that are going to be practical to you when it comes to starting a business and those kind of things, right? Real experience will always triumph school, regardless of what you want to do. If that's running a business or working a job, getting that real firsthand experience is always going to triumph any sort of formal education. But don't take it from me.
And so when you walk into a boardroom with a bunch of guys in suits who all went to college, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, because they read a bunch of words. I've lived a bunch of life.
Well, that's true. Their law degree doesn't intimidate you. In other words.
Right.
It kind of evens us out, whether they know it or not.
Where do you think you get that self-esteem from? Seriously. I mean, most
My
guys...
mom first and foremost, but
Right.
then just living life, like, being in real situations and happen to be a person of high integrity and honesty and,
You never embarrassed yourself?
No, of course not.
You never walked in and said, "Oh, everybody thinks I'm ignorant here. I'm stupid."
I don't feel ignorant.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
I felt like I came up in a situation, or a time, where I wasn't afforded certain opportunities, and if afforded opportunities, I could be Oprah, I could be Bill Gates, I could be Warren Buffett.
In my experience in business, there is very little difference, if any, between a very high-priced business education and what's available for a lot less money.
Like, look how many people go through business classes. If everything you needed was in that actual business class, in that book, it'd be too many successful business people. Right. How many people graduate? Matter of fact, the professor wouldn't have the time to sit there and teach you. That knows this book damn near verbatim, page by page, he knows it, right?
Because he be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he too busy. I'm doing way too much right now because I got the palm trees and we selling so much
Right.
stuff that I'm doing that I ain't quite got time to teach no mother class right now because I'm winning.
Well, yeah, y'all heard it firsthand from them, so that's all we gotta say on it. That's it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you learned something of value today. If you did, we'd appreciate it if you rated us 5 stars and left us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also find out more info about us on Twitter at The Monopolizers or on Instagram at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content on there that'll keep you engaged, so check that out and share those posts. But until then, we out there.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.